Hello, it's Greg Otten here with MaritimeGardening.com, and today I'm going to talk about how to take a garden bed that yielded subpar results and how to get a garden bed like that in the fall when everything's shutting down, how to take a garden bed like that and set it up so that next year, next spring, it's highly productive, and how to do that with very little work and in a way that doesn't cost anything at all. So stay with me and have a look, all right? Hello, I'm here by the sea. Good morning, it's April 3rd here in beautiful spring Nova Scotia, and then today I'm going to find some squash in my tulip garden. Hi, it's Greg Otten here with MaritimeGardening.com. Alright, so last year I grew beans and peas along the fence. There's a fence over here, and I grew those over there, and they grew fine, but they don't have very much. Beans and peas have very minimal requirements from the soil. So the fact that they grow well just means that your soil isn't horrible. Doesn't mean your soil is good. I also grew kale here. This is some Scotch curly kale, and they grew okay, but the kale that grew here grew to about half the size of kale growing in other places in my garden. So I know that this soil is not as good as the other soil. Also, I can just see there's moss growing in the soil, which means it's probably acidic as well. So it's not ideal soil. I also tried to grow some cucumbers here. Here's a sort of mushy, frostbitten, destroyed cucumber. The cucumber plants were utterly pathetic and nothing to brag about whatsoever. Each plant yielded one cucumber. And if you've been watching my videos, I grew cucumbers in another place where the plants were like 6 feet high, and I had tons and tons and tons, I mean, gallons of pickles. So subpar performance in the pickle department. So I know this soil is not good. Part of it is just the fact that it's at the base of a hill and there's a lot of water here. So I'm going to do something that deals with maybe the soil being a little bit too wet, not ideal drainage, maybe a bit soggy. I got a solution for that. Also, I'm just going to do a general injection, soil injection. I'm going to add some material to the soil that will definitely improve it and put it in a better state for next year. So let's get to work here. I'm going to move the camera. I'm going to move the camera a little bit further back just so you can see everything in panoramic view. Alright, so first things first, I'm going to remove all the weeds. This kale's still good, so I think I'll harvest this and eat it for supper. All this other stuff pretty much had it, so I'm just going to pull everything I can. The soil's relatively loose, so that's good. Easy to pull the weeds. We've got tool here for when things don't want to come out readily. Got a bit of a weed over here. Got some thorn bushes trying to migrate in from the side. This is a homey gardening tool. For those that don't know the tool, it's just a great all-around gardening tool. I don't have any, at the current moment, I don't have any contract or arrangement with the providers of this tool. In fact, this one I literally found in the backyard of the first house I ever owned. You can tell the handle is been replaced numerous times, in fact. Anyway, I'm just getting all the weeds out here. I'll probably fast forward this because I can only conjure so many interesting topics of discussion while pulling weeds. as much as talkative as I am, I've only got so much in me. Alright, so the battery died partway through filming there, so I don't know how much of that was lost, but it was just me rambling on anyway. So so all I'm going to do here is dig a trench. The idea is I'm going to dig a trench and put a bunch of organic material in it that I expect to sop up excess moisture, because I've got a bit of a moisture problem here. So I'm going to put a bunch of leaves and grasses and rotten logs, whatever I can find. I can just tell the water down here, it's almost like a well. It's very wet. I've actually struck water here. Yeah, there's water right there. You can see that? So my inclination was right. I got a water problem here. So I'm just going to put some absorbent material down in this trench here that I'm going to dig, and hopefully that will, to some extent, displace the water so that the garden is a little more optimal. Another option would be to plant something here that really likes water, like, I don't know, rice or something. But, you know, I was in the military flying overhead with a helicopter, that's all. throw down all these weeds that I pulled. Some of them anyway, a layer. It's been my experience that they won't come back up through that. Now I got some grass. This is just some neighbor threw this away. It's this ornamental grasses. This is the sort of thing I'm talking about. Something absorbent, something that'll displace that water somewhere. Could use something like this or leaves. Got some leaves here too. Threw these on the back of my truck on the way home from work the other day. Something to displace that water. Alright, so I got all that in there. Now I'm just going to compress that a bit. This is very similar to a hugelkultur approach, right? Just get all this organic matter that's absorbent. I'm stuffing into a hole. And I'm going to put the soil back on top. Most of this is air, in fact, so should probably put a little bit more on, to tell you the truth. Put a little bit more on there. I fully expect this to work. This isn't really an experiment. I've done this in previous years in other locations, this sort of thing. So I expect it to work. Really, I'm just turning this garden into a compost bin, right? So I'll move this existing soil back on top. This pitchfork. And this should give the garden a heck of a makeover for next year. But we're moving into late November here, so this is just gonna sit like this all winter long. There's a rock. I don't really care about rocks too much, but if I see a larger one, I'll throw it out. Smaller ones, I just leave them there. Alright, there's that. Now I got some nice fresh manure. This isn't that well composted. I don't know how aged it is. It doesn't really matter because it's November and I'm not going to be planting in this till next April or May. So I don't really care how well aged it is. It's going to be aged enough by the time I plant in it. And there's different kinds of manures. Horse manure from a nutrient point of view is one of the weakest there is. So you never have to really worry about it being too strong. It just isn't that strong for manure. So you might think that makes it a lousy manure, but it makes it, in my opinion, makes it an ideal manure because it's a perfect planting medium. Look how dark this is. Look how rich it is. You know, so much of what goes into the horse comes out unprocessed. So it continues to break down in your garden. And if you're gardening in a northern place like I am, you want your soil active. Right? You want all that composting to be taking place in your soil because it warms it up. Right, in the spring, when I need heat, this will be hot. Right, there's that. Now we just put some hay on top. Just layer that on about, I don't know, 6 inches thick. Don't be shy. If you live somewhere near a horse stable and you can develop a relationship with the person that owns it, you can get this kind of hay that I've got here called spoiled hay. It's just hay that the horses don't want to eat. You can get this for nothing. All these materials I got for nothing. The right price. So that's the idea. Alright, so that's all there is to it. If you got a water problem, I mean, you can go up, but I didn't feel like that, so I put something in the center that would absorb water but also feed the organisms in the soil. Right, I put some worm food in the trench. I dug a trench, I put a bunch of water absorbent worm food in the trench, and then I put some manure on top of that, and then I put some nice hay on top of that to hold the heat in. And hopefully by next spring I'll have some beautiful productive soil to plant something in. And even on top of that, because I didn't get very good results this year, next spring I'll plant something that I consider easy here. I'm not going to plant legumes because I've just had them here. Maybe I'll plant some potatoes or something like that. Something that's kind of you always have some degree of success. And I'll just gauge where the soil is with that, because with potatoes you can sort of tell how good your soil is by the size of the potatoes and also how many you get per plant. Hey there, my camera died in the final moments of filming that video, so I thought I'd just do a little voiceover here rather than do some sort of staged performance 3 days after actually filming it. Anyway, I hope that was helpful. Just a quick way to diagnose a poorly performing garden, some things you look for, and a cheap, easy way to bring it back for the coming year when you're putting your garden down for the fall. Hope that was helpful. Thanks for watching. Until next time, get out there, get at it, and have fun in your garden.